Hello folks, Doody here again. Welcome to my channel. So, now that I've got my visa approved, I am now heading towards Indonesia in the coming weeks. So, I thought, right, let's do a little talk about what I will miss from the UK. So, things I'm gonna miss. This is in no particular order. This is not like a top 10 things I'll miss or anything like that. This is just some random things in my head. I'm thinking, you know what, I'm gonna miss this, and it's kind of the things that will come to mind. So let's start on kind of food and drink subject. So things I'm gonna miss. Do you know what I'm gonna miss? A nice big fat greasy doner kebab from the local takeaways. Obviously, because lamb doner, it's not something you really get hold of in Indonesia, so I'm going to miss a nice big juicy lamb strips in a naan bread with salad, maybe a bit of chili, mayo, garlic and herb. There's so many different combinations of sauces, but for me it's something I can just sink my teeth into, and I absolutely love it. I do love me a good doner kebab. So while we're talking about doner kebabs, let's move on to the fact that what's in it? Lamb. Now lamb, again, I'm going to miss my lamb. Lamb is not exactly something cheap over in Indonesia. And obviously, I'm British. The best of British, you know what I mean? Best British beef, best British lamb, chicken, stuff like that. Obviously, I do actually like Indonesian chicken very much. I like the beef as well. But again, the price difference, the variety and the ability to get hold of it. So for me, I would miss my meats, my English meats. Definitely miss that. Now pork, let's talk about pork. Me personally, I don't eat pork. There's a reason for that, but I'm not going to go into it. You know what I mean? This is not a channel for preaching. But anyway, now if you go to Bali, babi guling is pretty easy to get hold of. Now over there, if you're after like bacon and sausages and things, it tends to be beef or chicken, you know what I mean? So obviously you don't get chicken bacon, you know what I mean? But it tends to be beef bacon or chicken sausages and beef sausages. So if you're kind of a person that likes, because I mean, obviously being English, most people here like an English breakfast, you know what I mean? Obviously you can still get that. If you want it pork, it's not going to be easy to get hold of. It may cost you a bit. I don't know the prices of pork over there. I don't know. So it's not something I can fill you in with. But if you're after, your streaky bacons and stuff like that, it's going to be beef. So if you're kind of a big meat eater when it comes to pork, it's not going to be something easy for you to get hold of. So, just keep that in mind. If you ever go to Indonesia and you're thinking, yeah, I want me some... plenty of pork and stuff like that. Obviously it's a Muslim country. Me personally, I'm not Muslim, but if you're after your beefs, you're fine. Pork, not so much. And again, the price, I'm not so sure. Lamb is quite expensive, and beef is quite expensive compared to what it is in the UK. So meat in the UK is rather cheap compared to what it is in Indonesia. Unless you compare it to like fish. Fish again is cheaper in Indonesia than what it is over here. That's one thing I've noticed. Obviously the fish is slightly different. So but for me, I'm British. So the best of British beef, British meat. You know what I mean? It's British. You know what I mean? It's got that label slapped on it. It's gonna be tasty. And so on that subject as well, I'm going to miss my cheese and my milk, or as Indonesians call it, susu. You know what I mean? Now, there's one of the quite a few words that I know. So obviously chicken's ayam, and pork is, pig is babi, and duck is babek. You know what I mean? So there are a few words that you can say. But anyway, I'm dribbling, so let's get on with it. So cheese and milk over here is really in high abundance and quite cheap. Now over in Indonesia, I noticed it's not so much. Really not so much as cheap as it is over here. And again, cheese over there, you can get hold of it, but not in the abundance you do over here. And the prices are very, very high compared to what we would pay. So for me, again, I am quite a big cheese eater, so cheese is massively been cut out of my diet as much as what I would normally eat. Whilst I'm British, we eat a lot of potatoes. Again, Indonesians don't eat as much potatoes as what we do. So again, so there's going to be a lot of different dairy products. So again, dairy products are going to be something that may be a factor depending on your diet. Obviously you can get it over there, you can get certain products and certain dairy products. Obviously prices will vary. So moving on from that is if you fancy a nightcap. And one thing I'm going to miss is my brand of whiskey. I don't drink very often, it's very rare I drink, but when I do drink, I like to have myself a little whiskey. I like to have myself like a little bit of a nightcap. Maybe I'm celebrating something, and basically I heard that the prices for whiskey are really high over there. I think someone was saying it's around £70 for a bottle of whiskey. So I'm not sure what brand they do or anything like that. But again, it's just one thing that in the UK, I'm used to being able to get certain products like that. That's my kind of taste, and I know I ain't gonna get that over there. It's a shame really, but it is what it is. Is it something that's gonna make me heartbroken? Of course it ain't. You just go with that. It's simple as. So moving on from that, we're gonna head towards more of the weather. Now there's a couple of things I'm gonna miss. Fresh cut grass smell in the summer. There is nothing like being in Britain and smelling fresh cut grass. It's a certain smell that I've only ever noticed it in Britain. I ain't noticed it anywhere else. Now, of course, other countries do have this kind of a smell, but not the one that you get in Britain. It's like, it's fresh, it's nice, and it's just one of them things. So the next thing is snow. Now I'm going to miss snow. I don't like walking in snow, and I don't like being freezing cold, but it's nice being in a nice warm house with a duvet wrapped around you, looking outside, and you're watching the snowfall. It's just something nice and therapeutic, I think, personally. Maybe it's just me, I don't know, but I'm going to miss it. I'm not going to have the experience of having snow in Indonesia, so it's going to be one thing I am going to miss. So moving on from that, the next thing would be Amazon. Yeah, I'm going to miss Amazon. I know they have things like Alibaba and all that over there, but it's not the same as having Amazon. So you pay your monthly subscription, you get your music, your movies, you get your free next day delivery. Obviously, I'm going to miss my Amazon. Being able to order something, get it in the next day, and get rolling with it. You know what I mean? But again, the only downside to that is Amazon's quality has dropped. In my own personal belief, the quality has gone down and the prices have gone up. So that's the only downside to it. So will I miss it too much? Not really, but again, I will miss it. So moving on from that, the next thing I will miss is humour. Good old British banter. I'm going to miss that. And it's simply because, us Brits, we have how we were raised and everything, and our society, it's kind of how we kind of deal with things. With humour, we can say highly offensive things to each other and it makes us laugh. Obviously, this new culture that's come out, that's kind of cancelling everything, and it's kind of ruined what British kind of humour was like. I mean, some of my favourites, stand-up comedians like Lee Evans, Mickey Flanagan, you know what I mean? These guys are funny. Would they get away with some of the stuff that they'd say now? You know what I mean? It's kind of not so much, not in the UK anyway, which is really poor. It's kind of crushed every kind of comedy in the West. It's just not that funny anymore, simply because they're not being allowed to be who they are, say things that, the whole sense of humour of being funny, but not being able to be funny because you'd be cancelled, or that's offensive, that's oppressive, and it's like, it's simply not. It's some guy or woman making fun of a bad situation, and that's where humour derives from. But moving on to my point is that, there's been a few times where I've tried to explain like some jokes that have not quite sunk in with Indonesians, and it's not their fault. It's just like, I'm wired like a British person. I've lived in Britain for my entire life, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like I'm I'm used to the social norms here, where, you know, English being a second language, and as well as they're not understanding kind of what I mean when I say things. So, you know, at the end of the day, I'm going to miss being able to have that kind of a conversation. You know, what can you do about that? Which brings me on to my last point, and it'll be lifestyle. I've lived a certain way my entire life. Habits, my social norms, my working norms are all British based. So I've been learning my entire life. I've been living, learning, breathing, you know, entirely like a British person, and I've been set in a certain standard of a way that I live. Now when I go to Indonesia, it's a completely different system. So it's going to be a bit weird, a bit of an adjustment until I get into that position where I'm like, all right, I'm there, I'm kind of living their ways, you know what I mean? Because when I go to a different country, right, I tend to eat like them, sleep like them, learn like them, do the things that they do. Not that I just copy, it's the fact that, you know, this is their culture, so I will live in their culture like they do. You know what I mean? I mean, you see people go to Spain, and, you know, the first thing most Brits do is like, yo, where's the Sunday dinners at? You know what I mean? Where's the English food? Where's the English beers? And it's like, you're on holiday, man. You're in another culture. Go and learn that culture. You know, there's fabulous things out there to witness, and then you go to a different country and it's like you go in there just for the weather because you don't give a crap about anything else. It's like, what? Well, what's the point? You know what I mean? I don't get it. But, you know, everybody's different in each to their own, so, you know, whatever floats your boat, you just do it. So on that note, that's just some random things I'm going to miss. There's no particular order to it. There's obviously going to be a few more things I'm going to miss, but this is just a quick this is what I'm going to miss. And I hope you enjoyed it. I mean, if you watched it all the way through, then thank you. I really do appreciate that. So 40% of the people that watch my videos haven't actually subscribed, so it'd be really nice and be grateful if you could hit that little red button down below. Maybe even give me a like, drop a comment. If you there's something you want to hear or you want me to say, you know, just ask away. You can follow me on my social media, which is in the description box below. Please follow away, I do not mind. You can message me, talk to me, interact with me. I'm happy to do that. You know, if there's something, you know, you want to ask and you don't want me to talk about it, but you want to ask me in private, that's perfectly fine. You can ask away. You know, I will give you a nice and honest answer, and you know. So that's going to wrap up this video for today. So thank you for watching, and God bless you all, and goodbye now.